And once again, welcome everyone. Earlier this month, Superior-based National Bank of Commerce announced that it was merging with Republic Bank. Once approved by the Federal Reserve, Republic will officially become part of NBC. The financial firm that emerges will be the largest locally owned bank in the Twin Ports with about $1 billion in assets. Here to tell us more about this merger and the opportunities it'll bring is Steve Burgess, President and CEO of National Bank of Commerce. Steve, thanks so much for being with us. NBC, of course, has been in a growth mode now for some time. What's your goal with this big merger?
Our goal is to become large enough to really be able to service the community and service it in a really big way. At the size that we will be after the merger, we can handle much larger loans and keep them within the Twin Ports, keep the decision making in the Twin Ports, and serve our customers.
Mm-hmm. Was this something that the two banks have been discussing for quite a while, or is it a recent opportunity that just kind of emerged?
It's relatively recent. We've owned 49% of Republic Bank for some time now, and the 51% just came up for sale, and we were the successful bidder on the 51%, and so now we will own 100%.
Steve, when did NBC come into existence, and can you give us a little history of Northwestern Bank of Commerce?
National Bank of Commerce?
National Bank.
Yes. We've got a history of 80 years of strong community development and growth within the Twin Ports. We've been stationed in Superior and we will remain stationed in Superior as our headquarters. In that time, we've had one acquisition. That's been Community Bank, and that was about, I think it was about 11 years ago. And now this one will be our second acquisition.
Why is this a good fit for the two banks to come together at this point?
It's a really good fit to come together at this point because traditionally what happens if the large conglomerate national banks get involved, they tend to seek the deposits and pull the deposits out of the community, where this is an opportunity to have a large community bank within the community. We'll take our deposits and really utilize them for community prosperity and making loans within our Twin Ports.
So is that how a bank grows its market share? And it's probably, once you start, it's a slow process, is it not?
Well, the market share of a bank, it depends on obviously your competition, but it also depends on the growth in the community. The Twin Ports has been rather slow to grow. We have not had a lot of stimulus to grow. Hopefully we can change that in the next few years, but the bank kind of grows as the community goes. I always say, you know, as we go, so goes the community. As the community goes, so go we.
Will customers notice any difference in terms of the day-to-day operations with their accounts or with the opportunities that might be available to them?
Thank you for asking that, Julie. Yes, the customers will see a little bit of a change, but actually very, very little. Most of them will be able to keep the same account numbers, they'll keep the same checkbook. We'll be honoring the routing number, which is the little number on the end of the check. We'll be honoring that for 3 years. As people reorder checks, we'll get in the new routing number of the combined bank. They can continue using their debit cards, credit cards, that type of thing. So there's going to be very little disruption for our customers.
There was really
Republic Bank customers.
There was something, Steve, that caught my eye on your website. It says mortgages are made fast, simple, and easy. How is that?
The mortgage process is kind of turned into a commodity, and we got very rapid ways of getting the information filled out. We use some intelligence that we use that comes into our systems, and we can get the deals coming in and going out very quickly. We like to say we're clear to close in 15 days.
Really?
And that's pretty amazing compared to the old mortgage process, the way it used to be. The customers will see a little bit of a change in our online applications with mortgages, but we'll have that available. What's different about us is we have the community service and the customer service, that you go online, you get started, or if you come into the bank and get started, you have somebody to rely on, count on, and somebody that's managing the process.
You bring up a good point. Is a lot of banking online now?
A lot of banking is online, and I'm amazed at the amount of banking that goes on online. The transactions that are going online now, it's another portal into the bank. It's another one that's got a service. We happen to have a really good app right now that we're using, and we're very pleased with it. A lot of functionality to it. Customers like it.
I imagine it really changes the way that people relate to their banks too.
It does in a way. It changes the way that people relate to the banks, but what we're finding is the customers really like to know that there's a bank behind it. They can
Sure.
do a lot on their phones, their computers, that type of thing, but to have a person behind it and know that they can call somebody and take care of if they got a problem. Our call centers, our personal bankers are all located right here in the Twin Ports.
Now, both of the banks have reputations for really supporting local economic development. Why is that so important for you as a bank and as a businessman to be an economic engine around here?
The reason it's so important to become and actually be and actually compound it to be an economic engine, it's friends and family that we serve. And it's our friends and family that we're talking about when we talk about growth. It's serving their individual needs, their dreams, their hopes, desires, and making them actually come to fruition and make them happen. So it's really important to have that. And jobs in the community create prosperity within the community.
You mentioned jobs. Will there be any changes in terms of the personnel or the number of jobs, management?
Yeah, there's going to be some changes in that we are seeking to retain as many of the associates of both organizations as we possibly can. The roles of many of these associates are going to change. As you become larger. The generalist kind of, it's difficult to have that job, and everybody becomes very specialized in their job. They know it upside down, inside out, and backwards. So there's a lot of opportunities associated with a larger bank.
Do banks still have bank officers? And if so, where do they come from and what do they do?
Yes, banks still have bank officers. I happen to be one of them.
Okay.
An officer of the bank it's some additional signature authority. It's some ability to make decisions at different levels and involved in the policies and decision making of the bank.
I often see NBC listed as a sponsor at different community events, things, just a strong presence in the community. Where does philanthropy fit into your business model?
Philanthropy is a very important part. We have a very strong philanthropic community. We've got a very strong not-for-profit community. And the not-for-profits serve a very, very vital role in our community growth and taking care of some of the citizens within our community. We recognize that, we know that, and we like to support those types of efforts. And we spend a lot of money supporting that, so I'm glad that you see us around once in a while.
We were talking about mortgages a little bit ago, and I imagine that banking has changed quite a bit since the housing bubble burst. Are there issues out there that you see could become real potential trouble spots for community banks or the banking industry in general?
We had a housing bubble and kind of a burst, I guess you could call it, in 2008. Since then, there's been a lot of regulations. A lot of the bad players have gotten out of the market. It's very difficult to create stuff that is not regulated very, very strongly. So I think that if there's a recession or a bust or something that comes, it probably is not going to come because of overheating the housing market.
Your website also says you're a bank of ideas. How
Yes.
so?
We have a slogan. We like to make more possible.
Oh.
And we often color outside the lines. And that's what I like to call it. And we're not traditional in the way that we go about solving a problem or solving an opportunity for a customer. So we try to do that. We try to provide expertise and opportunities for our customers to maybe do it a little bit different way and help them.
So if somebody comes in with a wild idea, at least you listen to him.
Oh, we enjoy the wild ideas. Sometimes there's a little piece that can really work. And sometimes it can all work. Sometimes it can't, but at least it's fun talking about
Sure.
it and seeing what we can do to make more possible.
NBC was involved in the Regional Economic Indicators Forum. Why was that a good exercise for you?
The Regional Economic Indicators Forum, or as we call it, Reef, we've been going, I think about probably 5 or 6 years. We've probably had 10 or 12 different sessions that we've had. The Reef is a great opportunity for students to get up and, first of all, to study about the community, learn about some of the trends and things that are happening in the community. If they study it, they tend to start to love it. And so they get an opportunity to present that in front of probably 300 business people. So hopefully we can have some of those students retain some of their benefits in the Twin Ports. It's also important that we bring in a speaker every 6 months, and we want to have the speaker tantalizing or helping to develop some discussions or talk points, and hopefully some of those talk points will spur some ideas and help us grow and prosper. And there's always a networking involved in the Reef project, and it's amazing to me to see the people sitting around and talking and looking at the poster boards and that type of thing that really make things happen.
Steve Burgess, National Bank of Commerce. Thank you so very much.